The next criterion we address is the monotonicity criterion. The word monotonicity comes from the word monotone, which means unchanged. And the monotonicity criterion states that if a candidate is declared the winner of an election and a re-election is held in which the same number of voters are choosing among the same number of candidates and the winner gains additional support, then that candidate should still be declared the winner. So why would there be more than one election for the same candidates? Well, often we have repeat elections if a problem occurs in the original election, or there can be a straw poll or a straw election, which is sometimes held to ascertain certain candidate characteristics or qualities. A caucus is a form of an election, or sometimes there is a runoff. So there's a lot of reasons why there might be repeat elections. So in this example, we're not going to go through the whole thing. We're going to take it piece by piece. It says before an official vote is taken, a straw vote is cast in order to get an initial measure of the candidates, Rachel, Monica, and Phoebe. The table shows the initial preference table for the straw vote. And here's the initial table here. This is a straw vote. This is the first election that's taken. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to see who the plurality winner is, the board account winner is, the plurality with elimination winner is, and then the pairwise comparison winner is. And then we'll see what the re-election results are. So just to point a couple of things out here, we have 28 plus 5 plus 5, that's 20, that's 38 plus another 30. That's 68 plus 16 is 16, 32. So there's 100 voters or 100 ballots were cast. So a majority, which is more than 50%. So a candidate with 51 or more votes would have the majority. So we have to keep that in mind, 51 or more votes. Now for a plurality is whoever has the most first choice votes. So M, that's Monica. Monica's got 28 and 5, that's 33. Rachel, R, that's 30 and 5, or 5 and 30, that's 35. And P, that's Phoebe, she has 32. So the one candidate who would win with a plurality would have to be Rachel with 35 votes. So I'm just going to put down R for Rachel right here. Rachel would win the original straw vote using the plurality method. So then we're going to try seeing who is the winner using the board account method. Again, for the board account method, we assign points. So I'm going to assign 3 points to first choice, 2 points for second choice, and 1 point for third choice. And then, of course, we go through and we determine how many first, second, and third choice votes each candidate gets and assign those points to it. So we'll start with Rachel. Rachel has 5 and 30. That's 35, and that's 3 points for those 35 votes. Rachel has 5 here and then 16 here, so that's 21. So that's 2 points for those votes. And Rachel has 28 and 16 right here. So that is 44. You get 1 point for those votes. We go ahead and tally it all up. And Rachel gets 191 points using the board account method. We'll then do Monica. 28 and 5, that's 33. So that's 3 times 33. 5 and 16. So that's 2 times 21. And then for a third choice, 30 and then 16. That's 46. She gets 1 point for those votes. We go ahead and we tally it all up. And this comes out to be 187 points. So Monica gets 187 points using the board account method. And finally, we'll do Phoebe. Phoebe has 32. First choice votes, of course. She has 28 And 30 right here, that's 58. So that's 2 times 58. 2 points for every second choice vote. And then Phoebe has 5 and 5, so she has 10. We go ahead and tally it all up, and Phoebe gets 222 points. So Phoebe is the one that wins using the board account. So I'm just going to put down Phoebe P right here. So Phoebe wins the original straw vote, the first vote. She wins using the board account method. Now we'll try the plurality with elimination method. Now the plurality with elimination method, we do not have a majority here. Monica's got 33, Rachel's got 35, Phoebe's got 32. We decided that a plurality or a majority would have to be 51. So then we eliminate the candidate with the lowest number of first choice votes, and that would be Phoebe with 32. So we just cross her out. And if you look right here, then everybody shifts up. But if you look right here, Rachel will gain 16 and Monica will gain 16. Now Rachel already has 35 while Monica has 33, and they both gain 16. So 35 and 16, well, that's 51. So that's a majority. So Rachel wins with that majority. So Rachel would win the plurality with elimination method. And finally, we'll try the pairwise comparison method. We'll compare Rachel versus Monica, Rachel versus Phoebe, and then Monica versus Phoebe. There's only going to be 3 pair-ups. So we'll see, where does Rachel beat Monica? Well, she beats Monica here for 5. She beats her here for 30, so that's 35. And she beats her right here for 16. 35 and 16, that's 51. That's a majority. So in a head-to-head pairwise comparison, Rachel will beat Monica. We'll now take Rachel versus Phoebe. Rachel beats Phoebe right here. There's 5. Rachel beats Phoebe here. There's 10. She beats Phoebe here. That's 40. But then that's it. So since there's 100 votes, then Phoebe's got to get the other 60. So Phoebe wins. So in a head-to-head matchup, Phoebe beats Rachel. Now we'll try Monica versus Phoebe. Monica beats Phoebe here. There's 28. She beats her here. 5 more. That's 33. She beats her here, right here. That's 38. But then that's it. So here, Phoebe wins again. So for the pairwise comparison method, who would win in the original straw vote? I'm just going to mark it here. That would have to be Phoebe. Now, if we continue on, it says, after several hours of discussion and deliberation, a second vote is taken. And here's the second vote. The 5 votes who initially ranked in order of preference, Monica, Rachel, and Phoebe, here's the 5 votes that initially ranked Monica, Rachel, and then Phoebe, now decide to rank the candidates in order of preference, Rachel, Monica, and Phoebe. So this group right here has switched their votes. They now look like this. So here's the second election. And what's changed? Well, Monica and Rachel in the original straw vote here, they've switched. But as you can see, in the straw vote, or in the original vote, the straw vote here, Rachel has 35 points. Over here, she's gained 5 more, so she now has 40 points. So the monotonicity criterion says that she should still win. She gained points, so she should still win. So using the plurality method, let's see who wins the second election here using the plurality method. And we could see that it's going to be Rachel. 30 and 5, there's 35, and 5 more, that's 40. Monica has 28, and Phoebe has 16. So Rachel still wins using the plurality method. So what does that mean? That means that the plurality method, I'm just going to write it right here, does not violate the monotonicity criterion. So then we'll try the board account method. Now from the original straw vote, the original vote here, Rachel had 191 points. Monica had 187 points. Phoebe, she had 222 points. And of course, Phoebe was the winner of the board account method. Well, this switch right here doesn't affect Phoebe. It affects Rachel and Monica. As a matter of fact, Monica and Rachel on the original straw vote here, Monica loses 5 points and Rachel gains 5 points, as it's shown over here. However, that doesn't affect Phoebe, who won the board account method anyways. So Phoebe is still the winner. So because Phoebe is still the winner, we can say that the board account method does not, I'm just going to pen it in right there, does not violate the monotonicity criterion. Let's try the plurality with elimination method. So Rachel originally won the plurality method with 35 votes. She only gained votes, so she winds up getting more votes. However, that's not a majority. So again, we go through the process of eliminating whoever has the least amount of first choice votes. This time, it's Monica. So we eliminate Monica. And as you can see, then everybody shifts, and the only really change in the shift is Phoebe right here will shift up here, giving Phoebe 60. 32 and 28 is 60, so Phoebe wins the plurality with elimination method. So since Phoebe wins the plurality with elimination method, and Rachel won before, not only that, but Rachel gained points. Here, she wins the plurality with elimination method with 35 points, but she loses the plurality with elimination method with 40 points. So we can say that the plurality with elimination method can violate, I'm just going to pen it in right there, can violate the monotonicity criterion. Doesn't mean that it always will, but it certainly can. And then finally, the pairwise comparison method. Again, we'll do Rachel versus Monica, Rachel versus Phoebe, and then Monica versus Phoebe. Rachel beats Monica here for 5, beats Monica here for 5 more, beats Monica here, so there's 40, and beats Monica here for 16 more. So Rachel winds up beating Monica. Then we'll take Rachel versus Phoebe. Rachel beats Phoebe here for 5. Rachel beats Phoebe here for 5. Rachel beats Phoebe here for 30. So there's 40, but then that's it. Phoebe has the other 60, so Phoebe wins. Then we'll do Monica versus Phoebe. Monica beats Phoebe here for 28. She beats Phoebe here, that's 33. Beats Phoebe here, that's 38. But then that's it. Phoebe has all the rest, so Phoebe wins. So in a head-to-head, Phoebe beats more of the candidates. In the second election, she also won in the first election. So we will say that the pairwise comparison method does not violate the monotonicity criterion. And there we have it.